Hello YouTube and welcome to the We All Juggle Knives channel. This is another discussion of cutlery. Choils, yes. Choils. What are they? What do they want from us? Well, some have suggested that what the choils want from us is our money. Oh yes, a trend. Alright, but first let's give some examples of choils. Here I have an incredibly epic tack force knife. Look at the monster choil on this. See that there? Now a choil is usually for choking up on the blade to give you finer control. You know, that structure right there, that's a choil. I think in this case, I think they just did it for some just style purposes. All right, but yes, the zombie tack force knife. Pretty cool it was $10. They sent this to me, okay? But that's an example of a choil. This is the Spyderco Native, another knife with a choil. Now this is what I call a half and half choil because you can see the top half of the choil is cut out of the ricasso of the blade. The bottom half of the choil is part of the handle, right? Goes like that. So that's a famous, well-known Spyderco with a choil, and as I said, I would call it like a half and half choil. Choils are not limited to folders. Oh no! Here is my Ontario Knives Night Stalker 9. Right, and check out my review of this. By the way, it's a great knife. See, it's a bit beat up. The choil right there. There you have a choil on a very large knife, which raises the question: it's such a long knife. If the purpose of a choil is to give you more control, how much fine control could it really give you for such a large knife, you know? You're not going to be doing surgery with a 9-inch blade, so kind of a contradiction with choils there. Even machetes can have choils. Check out this Tops machete. Look at the very pronounced choil right there. About a 10-inch blade. Yeah, so even machetes can sport a choil. Now sometimes you'll see what looks like a choil on the handle itself. I usually just call that a finger groove rather than a choil. I'll just call it a finger groove. Sometimes people call it a finger choil as well. I'll just usually call that a finger groove though. Traditionally a choil, you know, it's cut out of the blade. This Knives of Alaska bush camp knife, it's about a 6-inch blade, and note the pronounced choil. Now this is a camp knife and also a skinning knife. And it does make a lot of sense to put a choil on a mid-sized skinning knife like that, because if you ever needed more control on a blade, you know, a skinning knife, you would do a lot of fine work. Right? So that's another example of a choil. Now here's where the controversy comes in. One of my subscribers, I think a couple months ago, was saying in a comment that he thought choils were a useless, unnecessary trend, and that all the companies were jumping on the bandwagon lately, just competing with each other rather than, he didn't think it was a vital feature. All right, he basically said that choils were basically being shoehorned into every single survival knife design now has to have a choil. Alright, well what do you think about that? Is the purpose of a choil to get your money? I don't know. You can weigh in on the comment section. I don't really think they're vital. I mean, if this knife did not have a choil, I still would have purchased the knife. So that pretty much, yeah, I mean, it's not vital. Not to me, not in like this case. I think there's kind of a contradiction to choils because major drawback of a choil is that you're taking edge length away to make the choil. Now in a smaller knife, you're going to miss that edge length a lot more than in a longer knife, right? Like if you have 9 inches of edge, who cares about this last inch of choil? You're not going to need that like 10th inch of blade, you know, of sharpened blade. So you're going to miss that edge length less on a long blade, but on a long blade, the choil helps less also, I think, because like I said, it's such a large blade, choil or not, are you really going to be doing fine surgery with a 9 or 10 inch blade, you know, choil or not? So yeah, I think that's the contradiction with choils for me. Choil makes more sense on a shorter blade, but those are precisely the length that you're going to miss the edge, and that brings us to the intermediate length blade, like a mid-length blade. Maybe that's where choils should fit in, you know what I mean? What do you think? In the comments section, you can weigh in. All opinions are welcome. You can say, you never wanted choil and you don't care about choils, and that you think that they're just unnecessary. Or you can say what type of knife, which knives you have where you really like the choil. And if anyone thinks that a choil is vital to a certain type of knife, you can say that too, alright? Fight it out in the comments section. Alright, so that's all I had to say. Bang! Tack force. You need this knife. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that is all I had to say for this discussion. Weigh in the comment section, choils. Choils, hot or not? Are they just a trendy, useless trend, or are they vital for your very survival? Okay, this has been We All Juggle Knives. I'm out.